and thank you for joining us on our latest edition of Let's Get Savvy. You'll notice we got a little bit of a change of scenery again today. The TV is not here. We're still making some adjustments to the room. We have some new spaces that are coming in that hopefully we can show you in the future. Again, welcome this morning. Thank you for joining us live. I am Vince Guiliano, and I am joined with, I feel like my co-host today. I feel like we should be on TSN doing a sports show today.
Well, with the Jays winning 10 in a row, I would love to be talking about sports today.
I agree. I am super pumped. Brian Maddox here. I mean, we can talk Jays today, too. The Jays are just killing it. Best record ever going into the All-Star break. Can't complain about that. You know, sometimes baseball or sports is more exciting than real estate. But, again, thank you for joining us for our real estate talk today. We're going to talk to you about a few things that are going on in the market, how to maybe navigate a difficult market as a seller, what opportunities there are as buyers. We'll talk to you about some of the listings that we have currently, and we're going to get to know Brian a little bit better as well in today's edition. So, starting off, Brian, what are you seeing in the market? I mean, I'm hearing that the sky is falling. Do you feel that way? What are you seeing right now?
Look, I don't want to be ultra negative or anything like that. I want to be realistic for people. I think that it's obviously people are tightening their bootstraps right now. Prices are coming down a little bit. There's a few extra houses coming up for sale. Obviously, supply and demand will dictate that there's going to be some opportunities out there. For me, it really just comes down to why are you selling and how fast do you need it sold for. We were having pretty deep discussions about different ways that different philosophies of realtors will attack maybe an offer. How low is too low? Can you offer 50% off of an asking price and expect to have some dialogue with the sellers? My experience is that can be a difficult pill to swallow for a seller when somebody comes in so low that it becomes offensive. And I'd be curious to put that back onto you, Vince. What is that percentage, or is it a dollar amount that you try to think of?
I think it really depends on there's a few factors involved. How long has it been on the market for? How overpriced is the property? What kind of interest is there? What the desperation level of the seller is. So not every place is going to be cookie cutter. After 2 months of being listed, we could offer X amount less. So it really, really does vary on what the property looks like, what it is, all of those details. So yes, if you are too aggressive, you could offend a seller. Okay. Where I do think that the opportunity is right now is on the buyer side. Like,
we agree there.
Here's I'm going to give you my hot take on real estate right now. I hear from a lot of agents. The number one question we get asked as agents is, how's the market? Always. That's the first thing people say. Hey, how's the market right now? Like, it is the most asked question to any real estate agent. If your response is, market's really tough right now, I would want to know why you think that the market is tough right now. Mm-hmm. Okay? Where I see the tough pockets, there are people that have purchased in the past 5 years, okay, so post-COVID, that are trying to sell right now and make money. Those places are sitting because we had this inflation. We had an inflation of prices. People paid more than what the house value is at the current moment, not what the house value is going to be in the future. If your plan was to buy and in 3 to 5 years sell for a profit, this is not the right time for that. Now, I don't think everything is doom and gloom. I think when properties are priced right, now there's specific cases where, like, I'm going to say, like, it's a specific demographic that needs a house or an area, that's a little bit different. But for people that have bought in the past 5 years and they want to make money on it, that is going to be a very hard sale, because their expectation of what the house value is going to be different than what the actual house value is. Mm-hmm. Okay? When houses are priced right, houses are selling right now. Okay? When they're not priced right, they're sitting on the market for a long time. What that does is it gives the power to the buyers to come in with these lower offers, and it starts to reduce the value of homes. And because there's more houses sitting on the market, the inventory increases. I think we're at like a 5-month inventory right now. So when inventory increases, there's still buyers out there. We still have buyers. I mean, our phones are lighting up with buyer leads right now. There are buyers looking. They are looking for properly priced houses, and some people are looking for deals. New construction, not busy right now because the cost to build and what they want to sell these houses for, is not in line with what the market conditions are right now. And so value doesn't match there. Value doesn't match on people that have bought in the past 5 years. And I'm going to say condos are probably a little bit of a spot right now where there's just so many. Again, they've built so many in the past 5 years. You just have so many options. People are going to push you down on price. Everything else, we have buyers buying right now, and there's sellers selling. It's just how sticky are you going to be on your expectation and your price.
To that end, I don't want to sound like Henny Penny or the Chicken Little here because the sky is falling. My point is that folks who purchased a home and thought that just the market would increase the value of your home, I think have a misunderstanding of how to actually grow wealth or the equity in your home. The days of just buying and sitting and doing nothing, or even letting your house deteriorate a little bit and still anticipating a profit at the end. In these last 3 or 4 years, we've seen something called FOMO. Those who don't know what it is, the fear of missing out. I've stated, and I truly contest, that it is the strongest force on earth. FOMO is stronger than gravity. I can even argue it can be stronger than love, whether it's tulips, Bitcoin, or the housing market during COVID. People have that, they call it frothy, when the market becomes too frothy. And I think that some people, saw the twinkle in their eye and swung for the fences on some of these properties. And unfortunately, they may end up losing if they're forced to sell it in this time.
That's right.
That's where I think this market can be really great for some buyers, is because where you may have an opportunity is finding somebody who needs to sell, right? And if we can, stumble onto a property where it's listed and we can see that they're genuinely motivated, maybe by coming in with a lower offer and seeing how that kind of jockeying goes back and forth. That would be my suggestion for those people that are trying to sell. To Vince's point, don't have false hope. Go in with a proper expectation of not winning the lottery because you bought a house in the last 5 years. Truly recognize that, if you don't put in something into your investment, if you don't add value to your investment, it is unlikely that you're going to reap the benefit of
And I've seen people that bought in the 5 years that have added money to the house and they have added value. Their expectation is to still end up on top. But if you added value, you're probably more likely to end up around the same spot that you bought it for.
Yeah, forced appreciation in this market is going to kind of not get the traction that maybe it would when that FOMO is setting in for sure. And
don't get me wrong, real estate is always going to be a long-term great investment. Okay, don't wait to get in, because right now if you could buy and you could get a good deal on a house, buy, get in the market. Don't worry about is the house going to be worth more in 3 years. Investing in real estate is a long-term hold. These people that have bought in the past 0 to 5 or 5 years, if they're looking to sell because they have to, they're in a difficult spot. Who cares what the value of your house is right now if you're not planning on selling for another 10 years? In 10 years, it's going to be more. Like, there's plenty of data to show that real estate will always increase. Will there be blips along the way? Sure. During COVID, it was a huge blip up. Now it's, prices have come down a little bit, but the buyers and sellers, the sellers are also dictating the value coming down by overpricing. Okay, so if a house is overpriced, house sits on the market, doesn't get any offers, sits for 6 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, 7 months. All of a sudden, you're doing 3, 4, 5 price drops, and then you have to take some offer that you didn't want to take. You've decreased the value of the home on the market, you're probably even taking less money than you could have got if you just priced it right in the first place.
It's like gambling in poker. If you want to show that you have a strong hand, you have to have that confidence all the way through one particular round of I don't want to call it betting, but one particular round of poker. And it's the same way what you're trying to describe here with the house price. Is if you start at some exorbitant number and you just slowly drop it down 1%, 2%, each chunk, what does that tell a buyer? That's a sure sign of weakness.
Yeah.
That's a sure sign of we may have some negotiating room on this sale, and to go in with a sharp offer.
Yeah.
So,
but if you priced it right at the beginning, and it wasn't, let's just try and see. The let's try and see that's a lottery ticket. Let's just try and see. Price it right, get maybe more than one buyer interested. Not saying that you're going to get multiple offers. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But if you get someone interested right away because there's value in the house and someone wants to buy it, if something has been listed for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're probably going to get an offer a lot closer to asking price than if it's been on the market for 9 months and you've dropped it 3 times.
That's right.
Right? And so if your implied value is $1 million, but your agent has told you it's worth $900,000, well, after 2 or 3 drops and then a bad offer, you might end up with 8 something. Whereas if you just listed at 9 from the beginning, although you're thinking you're going to take less money than what you hope the value is, you're probably going to end up with more money in the long run.
And as a percentage too, that's something else that people need to consider is as a percentage of $1 million. If you go out for to buy a new pair of shoes and you see a discount on it, it's a 5% discount on a pair of shoes. Does that feel motivating to go buy those shoes? No. But 10%, kind of has that. I'm getting something. Or there's more value in it if you see that percentage go up. But when you're dealing with $1 million, $500,000 properties, you can't just look at it from a percentage amount because people say, "Oh, I'm dropping my price $30,000. That's a new car. $50,000. That's a new, car and trailer."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those percentages seem small, but are big numbers.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like when we do a home evaluation, people already have a set number in their head of what they think their house is worth. It is a difficult conversation, okay? I'm not gonna lie. Brian, I know you've sat there at the table talking to clients, and I tell people now, don't even tell me what your house is worth. I don't wanna know your idea. I'm gonna tell you, based on the comparables, what the true value of your house is. Because if you give me a number and you want me to meet your expectation, then, you could tell any agent a number, and there's going to be a lot of, I'm going to say, fake agents.
Well, there's armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they're armchair realtors. There's
Yeah.
people that my cousin's uncle once sold a house and he got more than this or for it. And these things are not, we're not comparing apples to apples. We're in a very unique time. I hate saying it, everyone says it's unprecedented circumstances or, all of this kind of new things that we're dealing with, whether it be inflation or whether it be, for Pete's sake, lockdowns and all that stuff is so crazy. It's new, and things that may have worked in the 80s, 90s, and before, just, I don't know, people are more savvy than they ever have been. They're more aware. There's more information out there. And the reality is sharp offers are going to get attention, and aggressively priced homes for sale will get sold.
That's right.
That's just the reality of it. Houses are selling for the right price.
Correct. And knock on wood, the market's down. Remax Escarpment, still doing great. SAVI, we're having a record year. Again, there's going to be the agents that say it's doom and gloom, but when I look at everybody that is doing everything right, they're all busy. So.
And what's doing things right? That's pursuing leads, contacts, making sure you have great marketing, making sure you have great social media, making sure that the team that you're working with has all of the facets and people in the right places to make sure from start to finish, from your welcome email from our lovely admin Katie, all the way down to a closing day present that you're going to receive from one of us.
Right.
That's somebody who's going to be taking care of it.
You're right. And as a team, we have everything to help a buyer or seller. But what I actually, one of the most important things is for an agent to be truthful with their client and be genuine with them. When I say truthful, I mean exactly what I was talking about. I don't want to tell you something that you want to hear because I need to get a listing. We're not people that just take listings. Our job is to sell your house. Okay, so sometimes, yes.
Worth repeating, we don't just list houses,
yes.
We sell houses.
Yes.
There's a humongous difference between the two of those.
Yeah, because I can tell you any number you want to hear to list your house, and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, if we do not get the job done, it's because there was some sort of miscommunication in what the price probably should have been for the house. And like, is it always price? Not really. Sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, but for the most part, you know, if there's a house for sale, if you list it at a certain price where there's enough value for a buyer, you will get a sale, right? So now, again, we're talking about everybody's saying doom and gloom in the market. Yes, if you pull up stats, you'll see house prices are down. Have there been less sales? Yes. Stuff is still selling though. There were still hundreds of sales in the month of June, hundreds of sales in the month of July. People have to buy and sell because of new job, divorce, God forbid,
Families
death,
growing,
whatever.
yeah, absolutely.
Growth, downsizing. There's all kinds of different reasons. People will still move. Okay, so just make sure you make the right decision when you do have to move. Okay. Now, I think it's probably very heavy in terms of like just talking about the market and the not great stuff about the market, but I'm an optimist. I think everything's fine. One thing that I am seeing in offers a lot, we're doing in offers a lot, and you know, I love our inspector that we use a lot, but so John, shout out to John. I've seen him more in the past 4 months than I probably have in the past 5 years. Every offer has a home inspection on it now. It's good to see that buyers are back in the market of getting to understand what the house is before they purchase it. What are you seeing? Everything?
Well, to your point,
inspection?
yeah. I mean, people are realizing that, you know, these homes, these purchases are long-term investments. You know, if you don't like the color of the wallpaper or the paint or something like, these are very, very changeable things. But I think where the home inspection really brings a lot of value is being able to kind of dig into, for a layperson, things that you may not be considering. Making sure you're getting up into the attic, making sure you're checking on the roof, from the roof. You know, it's one thing to do it from a drone, and it's another thing to actually get up there and look around. Those types of thorough inspections are going to prevent surprises. You know, I mean, the reality is we're not home builders. You know, it's nice to have an extra set of eyes. That's why we have editors when we send out material. We need to have an extra set of eyes on something, make sure we cross our I's and dot our T's, right? And, you know, that's the type of thing that we can be super proud of. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with the man, and he's been 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, and it can be any home inspector, but I think that we've probably talked about it before. A home inspection is not a bad thing. Home inspection, a lot of the misconception is that there's going to be a pass or a fail. Okay, there is no pass or fail. A home inspection is going to give you information that, now it's also visible stuff. Can you pay for, you know, deep wall stuff, all of that, of course. But for the most part, it's going to be visual stuff that the home inspector has access to, and they're going to give you an update on maybe the life expectancy of the AC, the furnace, how much insulation's in the roof, you know, how does the water function in the house, like stuff like that. They're going to give you a general idea of how everything works, how the life expectancy. They're not going to say, oh, this house, it fails. Like, you could walk away from the deal, it fails. If there's something really important, hey, you know what, the roof is about to collapse, you may want to negotiate that with the seller. Sometimes that comes up. If they say, hey, you know, you may want to put a GFI on a specific outlet in the kitchen because it's required by code now, it's an older home.
Closer to a city.
Yeah.
Right.
Stuff like that, you know what, do it when you take possession of the house. You don't want to get too nitpicky and start asking for the seller to do stuff like that, because it can really put a damper on an offer. At the end of the day, a seller wants to sell a house, a buyer wants to buy a house. Our job is to make sure we're representing either party as best as we can. But at the end of the day, everyone wants a nice, smooth transaction, right? And so, yes, good job on the home inspectors. We're going to keep making sure that we get those.
I encourage it. I always encourage it.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, some people have experience and maybe try to waive it and that, but I've always asked for one, even just for the few $100s. It just brings me a lot of, I don't know, relief.
And if you can attend and be there, speak to the home inspector. He can show you that stuff, or he or she can show you that stuff. That's great as well. Another thing we want to talk about today is we've been doing a couple segments where we're getting to know the team a little bit better. And since we have Brian with us today, we're going to talk about Brian a little bit. Okay, so
One of my favorite topics.
make sure you stay tuned for the next couple of minutes. Brian, why don't you tell us where you started, how you got started in real estate, what?
Sure. I appreciate it, Vince, very much. I love the opportunity to be working with the SAVI group. My real estate background comes from decades and decades ago. I bought my first house. It would have been 2002, and I collected some houses and got into some rental properties and that. So I had a pretty good understanding at a very young age about the hard work that it takes to get involved in real estate. One of the purchases that I made was in Windsor. It was just below the Ambassador Bridge, which is owned by a billionaire in the world, and he expropriated the property. So it gave me a really unique opportunity to, kind of not just sell to a buyer, but be able to sell to somebody that really was desperate to buy my property. Mm-hmm. I went in it with, when Vince is saying about, hey, there's people out there that are still buying properties, I try very hard to buy very specific properties for a very specific reason. It's not just because it has the right amount of bedrooms, or it specifically has a view. It specifically is in a location maybe that could be expropriated. Like, I didn't have a crystal ball, but it was pretty clear to me that they were trying to expand the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor. So that was a great opportunity there. And then further on down the road, I met my wife living in Burlington, so we've had opportunities there, and in Ancaster, and then I hail from the Niagara region, so I've been slowly bringing Michelle around the Horn to Niagara, around Hamilton, and get her back into, we live in Welland now, which I think is a bullseye in all of Niagara, 20 minutes to Niagara Lake or 20 minutes to Fort Erie, depending on where you need to go. So that's been kind of a neat experience for me. Another fun one for me, and probably more for my wife, is when we built our last home. So it came with some architectural questions, it came with finishing touches. It definitely isn't my wheelhouse, but because I'm a little bit more utilitarian and Michelle is, fancy, that we kind of made it the best of both worlds for us. So I saw a lot of value in building a home when it makes sense. And then, I'm proud to say that, I've got some property outside of the country as well. Back in 2001, we had an opportunity to head down to Costa Rica, and we've got just under 2 acres down there, 1.7 acres that we plan to develop slowly but surely. Just to gain information. Timing is important, making sure you have the right resources. Many of the same things that I would encourage people to be thinking around here. And these are my experiences, and I have to confess, not everything I've done has been an absolute home run. Just rewinding back to the time that I spent in the West. I was there in 2008 when the housing crisis hit, and there's the subprime mortgage situation in the States that's obviously spilled over into the entire world. I kind of have seen that sky is falling moment before. To your point, I don't get the same nauseous feeling in my stomach that I did back then. But you can definitely see trends, and I think that's kind of what we were really getting at the very beginning of the conversation. Is I feel that I've been in this industry long enough to recognize that there are peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows, just like everything. Whether it's something that is a collectible that you may have, or something that may be your largest purchase of all time, making sure that you love it from the beginning and that you have a plan to move into it and improve not just the building but your entire life around it. Whether that's bringing in, I know my first house I had 3 roommates. I couldn't make the payments. I was second year university, right? So that was a sacrifice that I was willing to make at the time to get what I wanted. And I think that it's in a world where instant gratification is out there and you're immediately presented with reward. we've got to really look, to Vince's point, at real estate as a long-term investment. You know, whether it's just one property or you're getting into it with a commercial intention or multiple residential rentals, just have a plan. You know, talk it out, and talk it out with several people. Talk with people like ourselves. You know, I feel like I can bring a little bit of insight to the purchasing process and certainly the buying process, because I love to haggle. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I'm all about. If you have any questions, again, feel free to give us a call, text, email, smoke signal, carrier pigeon. We prefer all the communication methods, and maybe we can get on to some of the open houses we got coming up this weekend. I think we've got one. We
do have we have an open house on Sunday.
That's
Sunday.
right.
Sunday. All right, we have an open house on Sunday at our listing on Moss. And
Great end unit. It's light and bright. It's really nice because it has the side yard to it, right off main corridors for travel.
Yeah.
I held an open house there earlier on with a little bit of attention to it, so it should be a good one to see.
Yeah, and that is 2 to 4 on Sunday.
That is correct.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place. We do have some other listings available at the moment. I mean, we're still selling our stuff. We want you to check out in the Niagara region. We have
6871 Corwin. It's a great split level, great backyard, close to the highways, close to shopping, close to like the core of Niagara Falls if you're interested in that type of stuff. We've got another one in Welland. It's an attached bungalow in an adult living community. It's a fantastic neighborhood, some of the nicest neighbors, nicest people you can meet. Comes with a little bit of carefree living, you know, snow removal and grass clipping and so forth like that, which can be a great opportunity. Again, to my point earlier on, is what do you want your life to look like when you get into that spot?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you don't love shoveling, that might be one for you.
There you go. What else do we have? We got one on in Stony Creek. We got 9 Bing Crescent. Beautiful place, beautiful backyard, oasis with a pool. Great locations around the corner from me. So if you want me as a neighbor, that's great.
Close to parks, that is another great one
schools,
too.
parks, shopping, everything. What else? We got a couple commercial units. New listing on Barton Street. Great warehouse. Not just warehouse. You can create it into whatever you like, but the space overall is very warehousey, where you can change it however you like. Fantastic location, very central. Then we have another listing on Anchor Road. Again, great location, just off Pritchard and Stone Church, right by Carmen's. What else we got for listings right now? We got Ferguson. Sorry, that was the Niagara region.
Sorry,
Niagara Falls on Ferguson. Beautiful little bungalow, already finished inside. Great price point. Make sure you check that place out. We got another one in Niagara. Like, we're just crushing the Niagara area right now. We have one on Tulip Tree, a townhouse. Great price point at $599. Tulip Tree. Make sure you check out that location.
You know what's probably something worth noting is our new website, right?
Oh, thank you.
So you know what, it's super easy to kind of find all of these listings and everything that we have coming up in a simple way. So of course, SAVIRealEstateGroup.com. We've done a really nice upgrade there. You can obviously ask questions there, and it gives us all of our contacts. So it's tough to list them all because it's an ebb and a flow, right? You know, I mean, we do obviously have a bunch of listings when they rotate through, so it's tough to remember them all. But the thing is that we have put a lot of work into them, and we are accepting offers. So
yes, and then we have a beautiful one coming up next week on Strawberry Drive in Stony Creek. Beautiful 2-story detached house, lots of square footage, meticulously clean, great yard, great area. Look out for that one coming up. Are we missing any?
Burloak is coming up in the next couple weeks.
Which one is that one?
Burloak.
We have a condo on Burloak, which is a retirement home. Yes, that's coming up as well. So we have a couple other ones coming up also, but we'll save those for the next live show. Speaking of new additions, we also have a great new addition to the team. She is in the background right now, so you can't see her, but Isha, welcome to the team as well. She is going to play an important part in the team growth, marketing, strategy, and everything. So Isha, welcome to the team also.
Hi.
Brian, anything else you want to leave
No,
off
I
with?
think that sounds good for me, V. We can probably let it off with that. Just remind everybody for our next SAVI session.
Yeah. Oh, every second Wednesday of the month, 10 a.m. Who knows? Maybe we'll be in a different location in our beautiful new set. Any expectations for Blue Jays trades at the deadline?
Vince, I'm not gonna weigh in. I don't want to jinx it.
No,
I
okay.
don't want to jinx it.
All right,
I just
don't jinx it.
keep doing what you're doing, kids. You're doing great.
Just keep hitting the ball.
Yeah, that's all.
Just keep hitting the ball. Anyway, thank you again for joining us today. Everybody have a lovely day. Join us on our next show every second Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m.
See you
Thank
then.
Have a great day.
Cheers.
Good job, guys.
I think it's the X in the top right.